let's dive right into the material here. How founders should be using AI to increase sales performance. Real quick, let me give you a little background on who I am for those of you who are new. My name is Kyle, as you can see. I've worked with over 80 B2B SaaS and service companies, helping them build a repeatable sales process. I've also coached hundreds of founders around building out their early go-to-market function. I've written 3 Amazon best-selling books. One is on cold outreach, that's called Cold Committed. The other is on running a sales development organization called the Sales Development Framework. And then the third and most recent is called 16 Steps to Build a Repeatable Sales Process. That's more of a workbook around how you can build, what steps you take to build a repeatable sales process. And for those of you who are familiar with my content, you know I take a very data-driven approach when it comes to building and scaling sales organizations. I focus a lot on systems, processes that enable sales reps to be effective. And that's what you will see a lot from me over any of the live classes that you choose to attend. And then finally, I've helped our clients sell over 100 million in software and services, over 280 million in money raised across our venture-backed clients that we've worked with, which is probably about 30% of the clients that we work with. The rest are bootstrapped. And I've trained personally over 1,000 salespeople. So I've been around the block. I've been in leadership roles in the sales organization. I've been a seller. I started as an SDR, as a young, charming lad. And now I'm an old, charming lad who grips on to every opportunity I can to be able to speak and share the things I've learned along the way. What I'd like to start with today is going to require some of your participation. So buckle up here, because I'm going to ask you to do something. And you're like, oh no, I don't want to do anything. Well, sorry, I'm asking you to do something. I'm curious, when it comes to AI, what is your biggest challenge with using AI today? If you can type into the chat, what is your biggest challenge? Is it knowing what to do? Is it like how to prompt things correctly? Do you feel like you're working with AI and you just don't like the outputs all that much? I'm just curious to get a sense of the room here. What is your biggest challenge with using AI today? And let's begin here. It's changing so fast. So Graham brings up a really good point. If anybody is plugged in at all to the AI world, it's like constantly changing. You know, every week there's something new coming along. That's totally true. Understanding how to make it work effectively for me, this is a big challenge. How do you get the best out of AI? This is so true. A lot of times what I see is we try to do a task with AI and we're like, this just isn't quite right. And it takes us longer to play around with AI to get to a quality output than just doing it ourselves from scratch. What do we have here? Knowing where and when to use it, deciding on all the AI tools out there. It changes daily. Yeah, there's infinite tools. The output's not hitting the right tone. Yeah, this is super common. Know how to implement it into the process. That's great. Getting the outcome quickly. Yep. Convincing my team how useful it can be if used correctly. Yeah, this is a big one, especially the more novice somebody is with using AI, the less quality their outputs are. And we go into what I was talking about earlier, where it's like back and forth with this AI tool. And then we get to a place where it's like, gosh, I just spent so much time to get here, right? What's a better approach? We're going to talk about that today. Being clinical with our approach to implementation. The possibilities are so vast. That's right. How to get responses to be aligned with our intent, which tools are useful. This is great. Thank you all for participating. Capabilities with real scalable customer value while managing data and trust. Managing data is a big part of this, right? What data do you give the AI to use in order to get the outputs that you want? Understanding how to use it effectively when leveraging it the right way in sales, orchestrating simple workflows without losing fidelity, like scrape websites, feed AI, produce reports. I'm using Ample Market, which just got booted from LinkedIn. Yeah, I saw that. That's crazy. That's been happening forever, though. Everyone is doing the same. It's repetitive. Maybe how to stand out. Okay, cool. So love it. These are all super common challenges. And today we're going to be talking about a lot of them. And ultimately, through the end of this series of live classes that I'm doing on AI, I want you to have the base skill set you need to be able to implement these within your organization and get great results out of it. And you're going to find when kind of learning from me, I am not asking you to start using AI to do all of these things that you're not currently doing. The first place we look is where in our organizations are we doing things today that we can accelerate by leveraging AI. So we're going to talk a bit about that and how we prioritize those things. So the first problem here when it comes to the sales function is your sales team is drowning in this work that isn't selling. I have a strong belief that the sales reps' primary function should be having conversations with our buyers. This shouldn't be very controversial. The most powerful thing a sales rep can do is actually speak to your buyers. Your highest paid reps are spending hours on all of these administrative tasks. The AI tool market is very noisy. We heard some people comment about that already today. And this makes it impossible to choose wisely. And also reps don't know the best way to use AI, so they waste time trying to figure it out. Same thing goes with founders. We sit down, we're like, okay, how do we use this thing? We start using it for everything. And then we're like, okay, maybe I got a little too excited, a little too carried away. And then you start dialing it back. Actually, let me know if it's type in yes if you've been on that journey where like you started using it. It was this huge light bulb. You were using it for everything. And then as you used it more, you realize, I probably need to dial this back a little bit. This isn't as quite as good as I was hoping it was going to be when I first saw it. Just say yes if you've had that experience. Yeah, Barbara, this is very common. There's a lot of nuance when using AI effectively. And there's also a lot of just horrible information out there, horrible information. It's a bunch of marketers who never built anything. And what I want to do is try to cut through that. We do a lot of building with AI. We have AI assisted workflows that we use. I also hired a developer 6 months ago. We're building an AI tool. We do a lot with AI, and it's way more complicated than people might make it out to seem. All right, so let's talk about some of the pitfalls. This stat is actually outdated as of, speaking of AI moving fast, as of like last week. It's actually 95% of AI initiatives fail to meet expectations. A lot of organizations, they buy AI tools based on the hype instead of solving a real workflow problem. And in sales, we've been dealing with this forever. This isn't new. Before AI, there's always just been, even today, a ton of sales tools. But before even AI became a buzzword, there were this huge collection of AI tools. It's like, oh, you got to use this one. You got to use this one. Or not AI tools, sales tools. You got to use this one. You got to use that one. Oh, these tools are so fantastic. And because it directly ties to sales, the ROI calculation is very easy. Oh, well, if we improve your efficiency by X percent, you see, $17 million more in revenue. And you're like, oh my God, I could use 17 more millions, right? And then you go and implement it and the thing doesn't really do what it's promising, right? Another thing that I see a lot of is mandating tools top down, which oftentimes creates resistance and low adoption. If you have sales reps that are performing well and you're trying to force them to use tools that are outside of their regular workflow, they're like, I'm just going to keep doing it the way I'm doing it because what I'm doing is working. And you know what? They're kind of right. The question is, how can we make what they're doing that's working go faster, do more of it? How do we make our top sales rep produce double because we're able to take so much off of their plate? And I think it's a lot more nuanced than just saying, hey, we're going to mandate top down, start using this stuff. And then finally, the tools are flashy, but they're not useful enough for people to start using them. All right. I want to start here with what is AI actually good at? This might sound like a simple question, but it's not quite that simple because I see a ton of folks trying to use AI to do everything. A great example of this is vibe coding. There is no doubt that there's a huge application for AI in creating software. You can vibe code really simple applications for yourself that are useful. The second those start getting more and more complicated, that's when everything goes out of control. If you have no understanding on how to create software yourself, if you don't have any coding background or development experience, it can be really difficult to start wrangling in the software that you're vibe coding because you don't have the skills to be able to help rein the tool in. So does that mean it's not good at it? It's medium. Right now, it's there to enable us as humans to do our best work. AI is not smarter than us. It's not. And anyone who's used it for a long enough period of time kind of knows that already. Humans are very intelligent. And just because the AI has the knowledge doesn't mean it's being applied correctly. And that's what I want to talk about throughout this entire AI series that I'm doing, is how that we can make sure that AI is applying the knowledge correctly. But we'll get there. I'm getting a little ahead of myself because I get excited about this topic. But okay. The first thing I want to highlight that it's really good at is analyzing large amount of text or data quickly. So any task where you need to review a lot of text, and this could be from a document or a call recording, that's what I use it a lot for. It's great. It's great to do that. Now, I want to be clear here. This is different than just saying, all right, I created a custom GPT where I uploaded every kind of knowledge-based document from our entire company, and now we have this custom GPT we can chat with. That is not a recipe for success. And there's a lot of different ways that you can organize stuff to try to create that sort of situation for you, but it's only going to be okay. The better thing to do is to give it really clear chunks of context that it needs in order to do the task you're giving it to do. And you'll notice I say that a lot, the task, the task, the task. What I want you to start thinking are, what are the tasks we're currently using or doing that we can use AI to do better or faster? That's how I want you thinking, as opposed to trying to create these catch-alls where it's like, hey, it has all of my knowledge in it. I'm just going to ask it any question that I have and expect it to do a really good job. Just getting, for example, my world, just getting AI to write a cold call script that's good requires a really sophisticated prompt, or it's going to produce stuff that I don't think is very good. Now, you might think it's good, but you haven't been doing this for decades. I look at it, I'm like, oh, this is terrible. This is absolutely not the type of cold call script I would ever do. But I can prompt it in a way to get it to do it, right? So you got to think through about the context there. Okay. Generating new content, things like writing job descriptions, taking meeting notes, doing client emails. It's very good at generating new content. And then finally, predicting outcomes from patterns. AI is fantastic at predicting what could happen and suggesting the best next actions. Okay, I use it a lot for predictions, evaluating sales performance, analyzing sales data. I use it a lot for that too. But again, you have to rein it in, and the prompting is such a critical component, which I hope everybody here go and register. It's on our website, forrest.com/events. I think it's in less than a month now, or maybe it's a month from now. We're doing a live class just on prompting. The prompting part of this is so important. That's where you get the biggest leverage. Okay, cool. So let me give you a quick promise here. By the end of this live class, you'll be able to pinpoint the exact task where AI will give your reps the most time back, or you. This applies for you or your sales team. You'll have real data backing where you are implementing AI, and you'll know how to get your team bought in to using AI. Now, before I move on here, I want you guys to start thinking, and one of the emails I sent y'all before this was to come here with some ideas of what tasks your salespeople or you do regularly. Have those in your mind. If you haven't really thought through that, think of it like, hey, what are some tasks that I do a lot of? We're going to start plotting these on a graph here, or on a matrix here. I'm going to help walk you through this. Okay. Sales drag is your silent quota killer. Okay, this is something I call sales drag. Every minute a rep spends on non-revenue tasks is a direct hit to your bottom line. You've known this forever. And if you followed me for any period of time, let's talk, let's just take cold calling, for example. You're talking about an SDR team. I fight for every 5 minutes. How much time are you spending doing that thing that is not calling? I'll fight for 5 minutes, because 5 minutes is more calls. If somebody answers the phone, 5 minutes is a whole conversation. If our connect rate is low, 5 minutes can be 5 calls. And those things stack. And I've built enough sales development teams to know that by fighting for those 5 minutes, you dramatically improve the performance of the team. The same thing happens with the sales, within the sales process too. How are we enabling the sales reps to be effective? You hop off a call with somebody that's evaluating a competitor. How is your sales rep navigating that? Are they just pulling up a battle card and going like, okay, well, let me make sure that I know what this competitor does? Or are they able to provide the prospect with really tailored landmine questions that they can start asking through their evaluation that sets up the competitor to not look as good? Can we create comparisons that are much more up to date than the battle card that you created 4 years ago, right? These are the types of things I'm thinking about. So every minute a rep spends on a non-revenue generating task or non-revenue task is a direct hit to the bottom line. This administrative burden is invisible to leadership, but that 10 to 5 minute task a day, 10 5-minute tasks a day is 4 hours per week. That's why I care about it. 4 hours a week. That's half of a work day. Go back to my SDR example. There's a lot of calls you can make in 4 hours. That might be 2 meetings on the calendar. It might not sound that big of a deal to you, but when you're building out the sales function, systematizing it in a way to where you understand the math on the time that's spent is so important. And this matters when you're early stage is trying to do everything. And this matters when you're later stage and you're trying to optimize your process. You need to be very intentional on how you expect your reps to spend their time, AEs and SDRs. Both of them. There's an operational component that's really critical here. And the third thing is the cost is money, time, morale, focus, and momentum, which is our most important resource. I want to stick on focus and momentum and morale here for a second. We get money and time. Everyone here is a smart person. You get money and time. But you know how frustrating it is to be a sales rep that feels like they spend a lot of time on stuff that isn't really moving the needle? You know how frustrating it is to be part of a sales team where 1 month you do well, the next month you do poorly. It's tough. It wears people down. And when you're not confident about your process and you're not enabling your team to focus on what they do best, which is talking to your buyers, it wears them down. And it's only so long. I've had friends of mine who are incredible salespeople. I know they're beyond top performers. They crush their number. I've seen them go to a startup company and absolutely flounder. Were they a different person? No, of course not. They're the same person. What changed? There's all these other variables that we need to consider. And by adding AI to your process, what I'm hoping you do is take that seriously and watch as your team is able to use it to spend more time with that critical thing, which is the talking to the buyers. Oh, this is a repeat. Sorry, I went back or something. All right. So here's the thing. Your reps already know the answer to how they should be using AI because they're closest to the problem. So a lot of questions, what do I work on? Well, there's two things. What do you do? What do the reps do? And the reps are so close to the problem, they know where all these 5-minute tasks are. They know where they all exist. So ask them. It's very simple. You're going to ask your salespeople. You're going to know some of them now. We're going to go through a little workshop here in a minute. But what I'm going to encourage you to do is ask your sales reps. Ask them where they are losing 5 minutes at a time. Get them bought in to optimizing their own workday so they can spend more time doing what they're good at. You cannot fix a problem you can't see. So the first step is to make the administrative tasks visible. Talk to the reps. Look at what you spend your time on if this is more for you than it is for your sales team. And then what you're going to do is you're going to align on a solution. What does the solution look like to this one problem? I'll show you a solution that I have built out for myself. I'll walk you through that so you can see an example. But today we're really going to focus on figuring out what tasks that you want to tackle. And then I'm going to walk you through a solution so you can start thinking through, okay, how could I work this into the workflow? And then the step 3 is execute. Actually provide that solution and watch how it works. Okay. So let me give you an example here. We use, I think I was telling you earlier, we use Airtable and Make.com to build a lot of workflows. So I'm going to log into a demo environment here and I'm going to share my screen, but just give me 1 second. I want to make sure I'm in the right one. Beautiful. Okay, cool. So I'm going to slide this over here. Okay. Can you please comment if you can see Airtable right now? Just say yes if you can see the Airtable. You can see it says idea, framework, topic. Okay, perfect. Everyone can see it. Great. So I'm going to show you the solution that I built for us. I do a lot of these live classes. They take me a lot of time to put together. To give you some context here, when I decide to do a new topic for the live class, the one that you're watching right now, it takes me 10 to 20 hours to put everything together. That's a lot of time. And just to explain why, 9 promotional emails, 10 reminder emails. You're like, oh, maybe you just cut those down, dude. Some people don't like how many emails we send. But 9 promotional emails, 10 reminder emails. I have to create the deck. There's a framework that I'm teaching. There's a lot of work that goes into that. I used to pay somebody to do all of this for us. I used to do it. And then I used to spend a lot of money to make sure that these classes keep going. As I started diving deep into to how to use AI, a lot of the prompting stuff that I did, I went through. Also coding, I did a bunch of courses, learning how to use Python. There's a specific application that I use that for. But anyway, I hired a developer. You get the idea. What I built out is a way for me to do these things quickly. So I'm going to give you an example here, but I'm going to start by going with an idea here. So this is example. So just to show you how this works, what I do is I give a raw framework idea. Now, normally I would write out like a real framework that I want to do, but let's say I would like to do a framework that helps the audience write high quality AI prompts. Okay, so this is a very lazy one. Normally I put a lot of detail in here, but I want to show you what happens. Every time I change a status, it runs through a make.com automation. I'll show you what that looks like. Your jaw's gonna hit the floor when I show you this. This is like so cool. I love this thing. Let me pull this up. Webinar content automation. Okay, cool. So here's what's happening in make.com. Based on what status, this is a webhook, it gets triggered every time the status is moved. Based on what status, it goes down a different tree. Some of them are very complicated right here. This is all of the promo email writing stuff. Some of them are a lot more simple, like this one right here, where it's just going to elaborate on the framework that I'm trying to build. And what happens is I move the status, goes through one of these trees based on what status it's in, and then it populates, and so you can see the AI already generated this, the framework. So here, this is the prompt prism. It explains what the framework is going to look like, right? So it gives me some details on the framework. And I put a lot of, either I have the framework already, or I'll put a bunch of details into what I want the framework to be, because I generally already have the framework that I'm teaching. And then we just keep sliding it around here every step of the way. So I can slide it here to topic. Every step of the way, it creates, in this example, the topic is the title and the bullet points. And then I'll go through and I'll select which of the title options it gives me that I want. I'll select which of the learning bullet points, like, by attending this live class, you will learn A, B, C, D, E, right? I'll select which ones that I want to include. I might make some edits to it. I usually make some edits to it. And then once that looks good, I approve it. So I'm going to show you one that we're further along with. This is how to write AI prompts at 10x your output. This here, this is the prompting framework. I already had this, so I put a little fake one in here, but I already had this. This is the 4D prompting framework that I use to create these great prompts, and a little sneak peek of what you're going to get if you sign up for this one. But you can see this is a very long, detailed framework, including visual design. Then the topic came back, and it gave me 5 different options for titles, and it gave me 10 different options for bullets. And I go through and I pick the options, and then I make the edits to make it look good. Why am I doing that? Well, if I let AI just pick the topic and the bullet points, and then ask it to go write the promo emails based on topic and bullet points, it might have picked something that sucked, and then now my promo emails suck. So me as the human, I need to go in here and go like, okay, I hate these options. Let me just do this one here. Or how to write prompts at 10x your output. It might've been a weird version of that, and I wanted to tweak it. Now I have prompts and I have examples. I do a lot of stuff to make sure that my outputs are really close to what I would have already written. That takes time and iteration. You'll get there eventually. But at first, even when you have that, but at first you might be doing heavier edits than later on after you iterate. For me, I'm doing medium to light editing on all of these, depending on what we're doing. Once I've gotten this approved, and then I also have my framework that I like, then we create an outline of the deck. So this, I'm going to go quick because I don't want you to have spoilers. That's the whole deck outline. That goes to my EA. She puts the deck together. Here's the webinar brief. So this is the brief of who the audience is, the core promise of the webinar. This is all stuff we used to do manually, by the way. And then here's the concept banks. These are all of the promo emails y'all be getting when I do the promo for this live class. You'll see all these in your inbox. I have these different concepts. Now, why do I do this? I do it because if I ask the AI just to write me 9 promo emails based on the brief here, the webinar brief, it's going to suck. That's just the reality. It's not going to be good. But if you give it, hey, here's each email. Here's what I want that specific email to be. This is our direct promo email. This is our content promo email where it's more content oriented. I come in here and I approve the promo brief. And I say, hey, I want to make sure that we cover this in the core lesson framework. Sometimes I love what I put in there. Other times I'm like, I hate it. I'm replacing it. A lot of the times it's pretty good and I make a couple of tweaks to it. And I go through and I approve all of these. Once this is approved, I click a button, and by click a button, I mean move it to the next status, and it's going to write all of the promo emails. Then I approve the promo emails. Then I move it to the next status, and then it creates all of the, let's get to the next section here. There's a lot of promo emails. Then it creates all of the email reminders, and then it creates all of the LinkedIn promo. And then finally, it actually writes the LinkedIn promo and writes the reminder emails because those two are just the briefs. You get the idea. I'd like to see in the chat, is this different than what you might have thought the process would look like to ask AI to create your webinar promotional copy? Does this look a little different than you were expecting? The reason why I asked that is because what I see a lot of people doing is instead of building things out in steps like this, they just ask the AI to do the whole thing. Okay, and that's why I wanted to show you all this. When you think through a solution that you want to use AI to solve, and by the end of this series, you'll have more confidence how to build out these things. But when you think through the solution that you're building out to speed up your sales process or speed up what you do, you need to be thinking in steps. The goal of, hey, have AI do the entire thing for my webinars is an unreasonable goal. It's not reasonable. I can't be hands off and have it do the entire thing that I want it to do. The whole task of creating everything I need to do a webinar, that's too much for me to give to the AI without human intervention. So I built out a process that takes that from a 10, 20 hour time that it would take me, or something I have to spend $5K a month to get somebody else to do for me, and instead cuts this down. It takes me an hour to go through all of this. And it's still in all my language, my voice, because each checkpoint that I give is me editing, improving, giving more context. And along the journey, it just helps the AI write better and better and better. It's the guardrails, it's the bumpers that keep it from going too far off into the deep end. Okay. All right. Let's go back to the deck here. And I'm going to walk you through how to pick the topic. How are we on time? Good. Okay. Let's talk about topics first, right? I'm doing a whole series. We'll talk more about the different steps later in the series. You're probably asking me, Kyle, how do we do all this? That's a lot. I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. It starts by picking what you want to do. So I'd like to introduce, drum roll, please. Boop, 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 boop. The AI Opportunity Matrix. We're going to do this together, and I would like everybody to participate here. So pay attention. There's a lot of people on this live class, so I expect a lot of participation. We're going to do this together. The AI Opportunity Matrix, I'm going to give you an overview of what it looks like, and then we're going to start doing it together. We'll work on it together. All right, you can see here on the x-axis, we have frequency. How frequent do we do this task? For me, I do a live class every 2 weeks, pretty frequent. Then how much time do I spend on the task? That's the y-axis, right? So here, time, if I were to, with my little cursor here, I'll show you frequency, like pretty frequent that I do the live class, probably around here. And then how much time did I spend on it? Well, if I was writing everything from scratch, it would be here, right? Way up here. It's a lot of time it would take me to do these. Oh, and by the way, which would make me not want to do new topics. I'd want to recycle old topics. I already have everything I need to be able to promote it, right? Well, this was just a perfect use case where I can cut. I can't change the frequency, but I can cut the amount of time all the way down here, right? Huge win for me. Huge win for me. So that's an example. That's how I want you guys thinking. So let's do this together. I have some little items here. Let's see. Hopefully this works. Okay. Okay, perfect. I have a little items here, and I'd like you to type into the chat a task that you spend time on, or your sales rep spend time on, that takes their time. It doesn't even have to be one that you think can be done with AI. We'll plot everything, and then we can pick which ones can be done with AI. So I'll start us off here. Creating webinar promo emails. So that'll be one of mine. So type in the ones that you guys have while I'm installing by doing this. So where would I put this? I'd probably put this like way up here. I'll just put it under the title, even though I think it should be probably where the title is. Creating a strategic account plan. Great example, Graham. Whoops, I was trying to copy and paste it, or it's not going to let me. Oh, okay. Let's just type in account plans. Account plans. This can take a lot of time. Think of a sales rep spending their time building account plans. Is it frequent? Depending on how many meetings they have to do, but it's probably pretty frequent. It's probably over here, and they take a decent amount of time. So it can be right there, maybe. Is that fair, Graham? Let me know if you would put it somewhere different for you. Let's see. Generating new leads. So getting new leads. We won't write all of them, by the way, but if you spend a lot of time, it probably doesn't take too much time. It probably happens very frequently. So I might go down here. Let me make some copy. Let me copy some more here. What else do we got? Yeah, creating value prop. And you might want to create that value proposition per customer you're talking to. Excuse my typo. So this was a little harder to do than I was anticipating, by the way. So maybe that's like here, maybe it doesn't take a crazy amount of time. It doesn't happen that frequently, but that one maybe goes here. Slide decks. Hey, we have to create all this material for slide decks. We do them pretty often. Like that might take a decent amount of time. Let's see what else we got. Oh yeah. So emails. So what about just like sales emails? This could be in sales process. This could also be doing some prospecting stuff. Collateral. So sales collateral. One of the things that I love using AI for is creating prospect specific sales collateral. And what's great about that, like, so for example, let's say you do a sales call. Here, we'll come back to this in a minute. Let me make myself full screen for a second. Let's say you're doing a sales call and you find out that they're looking at a competitor of yours. You're like, okay, great. The sales rep today is probably grabbing a battle card. It might be outdated and is going to try to kind of navigate the conversation, knowing what that competitor does, either through the battle card or they have enough experience where they know. What I like to do is take the transcript of that sales call, and based on the pain points that the prospect mentioned, I have a great prompt that does this. Remind me at the end if you guys want that prompt. I'll give it to you. I have it written out already. What it'll do is it'll analyze that transcript, pull out all of the pain points, and then create landmine questions that the prospect can ask the competitor to put the competitor in a weird spot because they don't handle that thing as well as you do, or they don't handle it at all. So we have a really, really cool way of doing that. These are things that get unlocked when you're using AI, especially if you're already doing the task, if you're already trying to use battle cards to create some of this stuff. But I love that from the collateral perspective. Okay, great. So let's look at everything that we have here. These are just some examples. What I'm going to ask you to do is go through and do this yourself. You might have done some on your own right now while I've been talking, but think through this yourself. What are some things that you do? And just pick one and say, you know what? I'm going to write a prompt, and we're going to do the prompting exercise or the live class in a couple weeks here or a month here. I'm just going to write a prompt, create killer account plans based on the transcripts of the sales calls. Great. That's the focus. How can you create a prompt that allows account plans to happen like that? And that becomes the first chunk that you're going to tackle. That's how I recommend everybody doing this. Slide decks, you want all the content for the slide decks, same sort of thing. What's the context that you need to give it? It might be a call transcript. It might be details of your company or competitive company, whatever it might be. I want you to think through, what task are you going to tackle? Okay. So I think we're in a good spot with this. Again, I encourage you to write down some tasks that you feel like can be done with AI. Pick one of them, start playing with it yourself, even before I do the class on prompting. And then when you get to the class on prompting, you're going to go, oh, this is like next level stuff. And I'll teach you how to do that. And then we'll eventually, probably the third class is going to be around building out the automation workflow stuff. So that's what I got. I'm going to jump into Q&A here. I have a quick video for y'all to watch before I do that. And then we're going to jump right into Q&A.
To build a repeatable sales process while running your company is the hardest way to scale. You're a founder. Your strength is your product and vision, not comp plan, sales scripts, and endless coaching. Take it from somebody who's built scalable systems for hundreds of B2B companies. When founders try to do it all themselves, they end up with this patchwork of mediocre tactics instead of a sales engine that actually grows. So in this short video, I'm going to show you the exact framework we use to install a repeatable sales process for founders. It's a system that combines decades of go-to-market experience with our proprietary AI, allowing you to scale predictably and finally get back to being the visionary CEO your company actually needs. If we haven't met yet, hello, I'm Kyle Van Voris. I'm the CEO of Voris. And if you're a founder trying to build a repeatable sales process without decades of sales experience, watch and listen carefully, because what I'm about to show you will stop you from wasting years of trial and error and instead give you a proven sales process designed by experts and fine-tuned in real time by our proprietary AI. In fact, we've used this process to help over 80 B2B SaaS and service companies add more than 133 million in revenue by bringing the sales expertise they didn't have and compressing years of trial and error into a predictable growth framework. Like Robert Ewan, founder of Monograph, who we've helped build their first sales team, raise 2 rounds of capital, and 3x the revenue all in 11 months. Or Matt Prados, founder of ReviewWave, who we helped grow, optimize, and scale their sales team to get back on track with 200% yearly growth goals. And the best part is, you get this consistent growth without wasting years on trial and error, piecing together random tactics, or trying to play sales expert yourself. Instead, you get a repeatable sales process built on decades of go-to-market expertise and continuously optimized by our proprietary AI, so you scale faster and smarter. Here's the thing. Most founders try to solve this problem in one of two ways. They either try to figure it out themselves, burning years on trial and error, or they hire a sales rep and hope that they magically build the process for them. Neither works. Without real sales expertise, doing it yourself takes years you don't have. And without a proven system, that new hire is set up to fail from day one. Our approach is very different. We design your team and sales process together, create the playbooks they need, coach them in real time, and use our proprietary AI to analyze every sales call and metric. Then we work with you to turn those insights into improvements, so the system keeps getting stronger. That's why we don't just hand you a plan and hope that it works. We partner with you directly, bringing our full team, decades of experience, and proprietary AI to install a sales system that grows stronger every week. What this really means is that when you work with us, you're no longer guessing. You gain a dedicated go-to-market team who builds the systems with you and makes sure it actually works. In fact, I guarantee it. We'll come in and build a completely tailored sales roadmap that details exactly what needs to happen, when it needs to happen, and we implement it into your business. This is a detailed step-by-step plan that is completely laid out for you by seasoned go-to-market executives with decades worth of experience under our belts. And if you're not 1000% convinced that this document is the holy grail of your growth goals, we'll tear up the agreement and part ways as friends. Why would we do that? Simple. We only work with people that we can help. Like David Goz from Bureau of Small Projects, who had a 266% revenue increase in 10 months by focusing on how deals were being managed and using that data to optimize the sales process. Or Chris Greco from Storewise, who we helped lock in the best quarter in company history while working together. So if you're hearing this and thinking, these guys have the sales experience I'm missing, they've done this for other founders just like me, and they actually guarantee I'll get a clear, repeatable system, then the next step is simple. Beneath this video is a button to schedule a free Accelerate call. It's where we'll sit down, take a look at your business, results, systems, team, and everything in between. Next, we'll explore if and how we can help accelerate your sales and what that looks like. So click the button and you'll get a couple of quick questions to make sure we're in the right place. And on step number 2, you'll be directed to a calendar to schedule a time that works.
All righty, so here we go. Let's dive into Q&A. The first question that I saw, so I scrolled to the top so we can jump right in, and I posted a link if you guys want to book an Accelerate call. That's available in the chat as well. The first question here is, Gemini will not transcribe an MP3 file. Which LLM will transcribe and summarize an MP3? You can use, and I think this is through the API. I don't know if you can do it like right through their interface, but OpenAI has a Whisper, which is the model that they use for transcribing. So you can use that. But also, like, if you just need to transcribe an MP3, you can always use like Descript or a lot of the tools, like they have the transcription built into it, and then you can copy and paste it out if you don't want to get all crazy. But for transcribing stuff, we use Whisper. How do you feed the process previous emails or other content so it automatically adapts your tone and makes things consistent with your brand and other facts? Okay, so there's a couple of things to note here. How do I want to tackle this? So to break this down into 2 scenarios. Scenario 1 would be, I wanted to see the previous emails I've sent to this person, and that might constantly be changing. You would have to fetch those things as they happen. That's probably overkill, because what you really want to do is make sure it's consistent with your brand and other facts. What I generally do is I build a library of examples. So I'll have a library of examples of different emails that we've sent that work really well. And then we'll shuffle which examples we'll add to the prompt. So how it works in make.com is you have a prompt, and then you have these different variables you can insert into the prompt in different places. We'll have a part of Airtable that just has examples. We'll shuffle those examples with make.com. You can shuffle them. You shuffle those examples, and then you take out the 3 of them or 5 of them, depending on how many examples you feel like you need, and you insert those into the prompt under an example section. And you can constantly do that every single time the prompt is run, and then you would update that database in Airtable that has all of the different examples. Now, an advanced way of doing this, if it's AI written stuff, let's say you have a really good email, you reverse engineer the prompt that generated that email, and I put it in air quotes because technically you wrote the email, that's why it's so good, but you reverse engineer what the prompt was that got that email, and that prompt should be somewhat similar to the type of prompt that you're using to generate the new email. And then that way it starts understanding the patterns, and then you can keep doing that. You give a prompt, you edit it, make it perfect, use that as a before, like a input output example. Happy to go in more detail there. The idea is I show an input and then a quality output from the AI, and I use that as an example. And that output is a human edited output. But because the AI doesn't know that, it thinks like, oh, that's what good looks like based on that kind of input. I'm going to try to replicate that level of quality. Oh, another thing too, I'm looking for more questions here. Oh, I don't see any other questions. Okay, cool. I'm going to, here's a question while you guys are typing in any questions, but here's an ask I have for you. If you have, well, not if, everybody, please, if you can fill out my survey, that'd be incredible. This is a survey. It helps me understand what topics I should do next and kind of make sure that I'm covering things that people actually care about. So if you can go ahead and fill out that survey, that would be awesome. Let me read Steven's response here. The content alignment approach makes sense. It sounds like Make has some nice library. Yeah, so Steven, I use make.com. N8N's another one. So we use N8N for our internal tool. So you saw in the video, like we use a lot of AI to analyze sales performance. And in our internal tool, we have a self-hosted version of N8N that we use to do certain things. That is pretty useful too. Some people really like N8N. I have more experience with make.com personally. My developer uses N8N that we have self-hosted, and that works really well too. I just don't have as much hands-on experience. What's nice is being able to have a place where you can update. So in mine, I have one with examples. I can update those examples as I want to. So I use AI a lot to help me create content for LinkedIn. And I have a place that has some of my best LinkedIn posts as the outputs, and then the inputs are prompts that generated that LinkedIn post. They're all the final version. So the AI might have generated the first version of the post, then I edited that, and then I gave the edited version as if the AI generated that one. But when I use those as examples, the AI thinks, oh, the AI used that input to get this output. That's what they're looking for, and figures out what the patterns are. And that's really helpful. It's a small tip for anybody. Like if there's two things that you want to learn about prompting, as little spoiler alerts for the prompting live class, two things that I'll call out here. One are the examples. Having input output examples have a huge impact. And then the second thing here that's really big are steps. What are the number of steps? Or not even just a number, but what are the steps you're giving the LLM? I look at prompts as if they're instructions for a junior employee. And if I feel like they're not very clear to where a junior employee wouldn't be able to follow these and get a really good output, then they're probably not good enough for the LLM. And I'll make changes to the prompt to get it there. I don't see any other questions here. I want to thank you all for taking the time. It's Thursday. There's a lot you can be doing on Thursday, but you're spending it with me. I deeply appreciate that. Any questions at all, let me know. Again, if you're looking for support building out your sales organization, we work with companies of all sizes. I'll put one more time in the link to schedule an Accelerate call. We don't work with very many customers, and the purpose of this call is to really understand where you're getting stuck. I'll give you some feedback on what I would do if I were in your shoes, regardless if I feel like we're a good fit or not, but I'll also be very honest if I feel like we're a good fit. Like I said, we don't work with everybody, and I want to make sure that people we do work with are people that we can actually help. So there you go. Thank you so much. Again, I really appreciate it. Anything you need from me, never hesitate to reach out, and we'll talk soon. Thanks, everybody.